Hey guys, this is a little bit of an opinion piece, but I had this realization the other day and I just really feel like I need to make this video right now. As you guys know, I'm a cinematographer based out here in Los Angeles. You know, I've done music videos, I've done commercial stuff, narrative stuff. I shot a feature film last summer and I own an Alexa because that's what I use for all of my work, right? I started this YouTube channel because I feel like I have thoughts and perspective on cinematography and lighting that I just kind of wanted to put out there. But all the videos that I've made so far, I've been shooting on my Alexa, which is ridiculous, right? Like, it's this big, coveted Hollywood camera, and this guy's using it for YouTube videos. Long story short, I've been looking for a camera that is smaller, more logical for this kind of content, and a friend of mine has the Sony FX3, so he let me borrow it for a week, and this isn't me giving a review of the FX3, but what I will say is that the week I had that camera was some of the most fun I've had shooting in a couple years. And that's kind of the thing that I want to talk about right now. Like, why is that? Why am I enjoying shooting on an FX3 more than, you know, an arri Alexa? I think that we get really wrapped up in the gear that we're using. I think we get so focused on having the best cameras and having the best lenses. We think that to make something really quality, we need a Hollywood level camera. Not even a Hollywood level camera, you just need something that says cinema camera. You need to have cinema lenses with geared focus rings and declicked apertures. And the thing is, I don't think you do. You see, when I said that week with the FX3 was some of the most fun I've had shooting, it's because that camera kind of took me back to a time where I felt like I had a lot of freedom. You know, this is like a small camera that's really mobile. It's like incredibly lightweight. I'm running around with this thing and I'm starting to realize, like, oh, I'm not tired at all. I'm tucking myself like back into small corners with it to get shots. I'm clamping it to C-stands and hanging it overhead to do these overhead shots that would normally be very hard to do. Like, let's look at the limitations of a camera like the Alexa. It's this large cinema camera that has been designed for film crews at this professional level. It's not really at all designed for a solo operator. The camera needs very large batteries to run. You have to rig all these monitors to it, wireless video, follow focuses, and it's bulky and it can get to around like 30 to 40 pounds. So now you need to buy a tripod that can hold that weight. And those tripods can be like tens of thousands of dollars. With something like the FX3, if you wanted to get like some weird, funky, wide-angle driving shot, you can just suction cup the camera to a car and cross your fingers that it's not gonna fall off. But with something like the Alexa, you're now gonna need like an entire process trailer to do that, and that can be so expensive. You can throw the FX3 on a gimbal like the RS3 and run around and get a bunch of Steadicam shots. But if you wanna do the same thing with the Alexa, well, then you need to get a Steadicam, and those are not easy to use, and they're also very expensive, if not just as expensive as the camera itself. You could always hire a Steadicam operator, but they can cost like a couple $1,000s per day. Like, do you see where I'm going with this? I just laugh when I see these videos that are like, oh, should you buy an arri Alexa Classic in 2024 for $5,000? Because I'll answer that question right here, right now. No. It's going to cost you so much more to actually get to use a camera like that. And once you get it up and running and you start shooting with it, you'll probably realize that you're not having that fun of a time lugging around this 50-pound camera that keeps dying every 30 minutes because it's absolutely chugging all of the charge out of all of the batteries you bought for it that cost you another 3 to 4 grand on top. And look, I get it. The Alexa is an incredible camera. It is. The color is amazing. The way that it handles highlights is stunning. You haven't seen skin tones until you've shot on an Alexa. But the truth is, a lot of the cameras nowadays are just not that far off. Do you remember the A7S II, the Canon C100, like the original Blackmagic camera? Do you remember back when it was all 420 8-bit color? It was really easy for the Alexa to be on top when the competition was this. The Alexa used to boast having the best dynamic range, having like a true usable 14 stops, but so does the FX3. In fact, a lot of the cameras out right now have a good usable 13 to 14 stops of dynamic range. So you basically have the same dynamic range as the Alexa. You just need to learn your sensor and how it works, how to expose for it, the color science. I mean, look at all the movies nowadays that have been getting shot on more prosumer cinema cameras. I mean, The Creator. And I'm not gonna get into it and talk about it because everybody and their mom has talked about it, but it's true. And I know what you're gonna say, like, that movie had tons of people working on it, it had tons of lighting, but doesn't that also kind of prove my point? it was still shot on the FX3, so there's no excuse for your camera not being good enough. I'd say put your focus into getting better at lighting. I won't lie to you, I used to really want to gatekeep cinematography. Back in the day, you needed to know how to light to 25 ASA film stock. You needed these giant brute arc lights attached to these vehicles that have been converted into generators just to light someone's face in the daytime. Film was a hard thing to get into because back in the day, you needed to know how to do all this crazy stuff. But nowadays, cameras are so capable, you can go out and get Hollywood level images with like nothing. Filmmaking has just become so accessible, and I used to hate that because I had spent all my time in film school learning how to do this craft only to see some guy with a black magic camera making better stuff than me. It was all just jealousy. Oh yeah, this guy can make really cool looking stuff, but he doesn't know how to DP. Well, the first step to learning how to become a DP isn't going to a 4-year film school. It's just learning to love making cool shit. Look, here's the thing. I consigned my Alexa to a rental house. They have it now, they're gonna rent it out, like it's no longer in my possession. I did, however, get an FX3. That's the camera that I wanna use right now simply because I'm just having more fun with it. I've been doing a bunch of small like run and gun guerrilla style shoots these last couple of months, mostly on account of the film industry being so wonky right now, and it just wasn't feasible or fun. Running around Los Angeles with a full Alexa 35 can be absolutely exhausting. And I would also argue that it can be a complete hindrance on your creativity because of its limitations. There's just a time and place for a camera like that, and that's why I put it into a rental house, so that it's there for whenever the bigger projects come along. I don't know, maybe switching to the FX3 is like me finally becoming some YouTube video bro. If that happens, like just revoke my cinematography license then. I also want to go off on just another quick little tangent because I found a YouTuber recently, aitia, and I really like his videos. I think he has a great eye, but he did a video recently on the new Blackmagic Pixis camera, and I saw so much negativity in his comments. A lot of the negativity in his videos seemed to be coming from the people who are really excited about that camera, and I think it's because he didn't really talk a lot about the camera in his video. He actually was touching on a lot of the things I'm talking about right now, about how we're so focused on our gear, and I can see why he'd want to say that. When that Blackmagic camera got announced, I saw so many people losing their minds over it, claiming that it was going to be like the next big camera, that it was a game changer. I saw one video where a guy was claiming that this is going to be the new camera that Hollywood studios and big budget movies are using, which is quite frankly an insane comment to make. Seeing such devotion to a camera like that just makes me feel like we're losing the plot. And I know it can be really hard to trust people on this platform. There are so many cinematography YouTube channels, and it's so hard to tell who's being honest and who's just trying to sell you something. I have seen plenty of times someone claim that a camera is perfect and it's everything they've ever wanted, and that video was sponsored by that brand, only to cut to months later, that person now has a new camera and they're claiming that it's perfect and it's everything they've ever wanted. Now they're switching to that camera and surprise, it's another sponsored video. Am I being told that this camera is good because you think it's a good camera, or because you're being paid to tell me that? Whatever, that's all I really have to say on that. I just didn't like the negativity that I was seeing in his comments because I think he was right. Don't get so focused on what you don't have. Don't not make ABC because you don't have XYZ. Like I said, the FX3 took me back to when I was shooting on the T3i with all my friends in high school, and we were just making a bunch of stuff. Like, that was the most fun time. That's whenever I decided, like, this is what I'm gonna do with my life. Like, I'm gonna become a DP. Go learn lighting, go learn how to compose, go learn everything else that isn't just what camera you should be using, because those are the things that really matter. If you can make something incredible with a $1,000 camera, then I can't wait to see what you're able to make when you get your hands on a $100,000 camera.